Tonight, Ontario's premier defends the anti-tariff ad that brought U.S. trade talks to a standstill.
Do you know why President Trump's so upset right now? Because it was effective. It was working.
The ad's now paused, but the negotiations are too.
I don't want to meet with them. No, I'm not going to be meeting with them for a while. No.
And CBC News has learned the Americans warned Ottawa about Doug Ford's strategy for months. Breaking tonight, Alberta orders teachers back to work.
This is a very unique situation we find ourselves.
The controversial plan to use the notwithstanding clause to end the strike and impose a contract. The Jays on the hunt in LA, enemy turf.
No Springer Dingers tonight.
Amping up the pressure for Game 3.
From CBC News, this is The National with Erica Johnson.
Thanks for joining us. Adrienne is on assignment. Ontario's premier is not backing down. He's standing by the anti-tariff ad that angered Donald Trump, prompting him to freeze trade talks with Canada and threaten even higher tariffs. Doug Ford boasted that the anti-tariff ad was the most successful in the history of North America. Prime Minister Mark Carney in Malaysia at the same summit as Trump said he's ready to restart negotiations whenever Washington is ready. But Trump says he won't be talking to Carney for a long time. Tonight, the ads are off the air in the U.S., but Ashley Burke shows us Ford is not.
He's doing damage, so will he stand down and stop doing this?
Ontario's premier facing heat over his anti-tariff ad that Donald Trump blames for blowing up trade talks.
It created a conversation with every Republican, Democrat, governor, congressperson, and senator.
Doug Ford unapologetic, declaring his ad a win, claiming it's been seen 11 billion times.
Do you know why President Trump's so upset right now? Because it was effective. It was working. It woke up the whole country.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries.
But his decision to keep running this ad during the World Series this weekend set off Trump again.
They've apologized, and they said, we're going to take the ad down. Well, they did it, but they did it very late. They let it play for another 2 nights, and now they took that ad down.
The president lashing out.
One of the most difficult countries to deal with has been Canada.
And showing no sign of backing down on his threat of an additional 10% tariff on Canadian goods.
Prime Minister knew, everybody knew. The Prime Minister knew what the ad was before it was.
Ford confirming that's true.
He saw the ad before I put it out, so did his chief of staff. They both saw it, and we moved forward on it.
We had made considerable progress.
At a summit in Malaysia, Carney says that progress towards a deal was being made on aluminum and steel until the ad.
Are you upset at Premier Doug Ford for running this ad? If this is true that this ad spoiled something that was very close?
In any complicated, high-stakes negotiation, you can get unexpected twists and turns. You have to keep your cool during those situations. It doesn't pay to be upset. Emotions don't carry you very far.
Ford made it clear he's not sorry that possible deal is in jeopardy because it didn't include the auto sector.
Ontario won't be fine if we sign a lousy deal. I'd rather have no deal than a terrible deal that will cost jobs here in Ontario.
CBC News learned that Ford's anti-Trump rhetoric came up repeatedly in trade talks as an irritant, but Ford says the Prime Minister has never asked him to stop being vocal.
And Ashley, Carney and Trump were both just at the same summit in Malaysia and didn't speak.
Yeah, Erica, the Prime Minister confirmed that he hasn't talked to Trump since the president terminated talks. The two leaders will be at another summit in South Korea later this week, but Trump says he doesn't want to meet with Carney there or for a while. Now, when asked about the additional 10% tariff on Canada, Trump said that he didn't want to discuss it.
Thanks for this, Ashley Burke in Ottawa. While trade talks with Washington may be stalled, Prime Minister Mark Carney said they were moving ahead with partners in Asia.
We agreed to accelerate progress on a new Canada-ASEAN free trade agreement, targeting completion of that agreement next year.
Carney said Canada is also moving ahead with a separate free trade agreement with the Philippines and signed a letter of intent with Malaysia to deepen investment in Canada's energy sector. And Carney's government continues to drop hints about the upcoming federal budget, with the Minister of Jobs and Families announcing a boost for personal support workers.
Budget 2025 will introduce a new personal support workers tax credit backed by $1.5 billion over 5 years.
The tax credit would give back up to 5% of a PSW's earnings, up to $1,100. She also announced tens of millions of dollars to expand a federal apprenticeship training program focused on building trades and for speeding up the recognition of foreign professional credentials. Now to breaking news out of Alberta. The province is about to legislate teachers back to the classroom, ending a 3-week-long strike. And as Julia Wong explains, it's also taking the extremely rare step of using the notwithstanding clause to make that back-to-work law immune to a charter challenge.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is ordering striking teachers back to the classroom.
We've seen how this strike has impacted our students.
3 weeks ago, teachers walked off the job. Now, the government plans to pass a bill to end the strike. It will also impose the last offer teachers overwhelmingly rejected, which included a 12% raise over 4 years, 3,000 more teachers, and 1,500 more educational assistants. And Alberta will invoke the notwithstanding clause to make it happen. It allows governments to override certain charter rights for 5 years.
It also invokes the notwithstanding clause to help ensure stability for the school system moving forward.
Smith defends the move.
And this is a unique strike. We've never had 51,000 workers off the job at the same time.
The teachers' union is angry over the use of the notwithstanding clause. It is exploring its legal options.
If they think by what they have done here today is going to quiet down the tens of thousands of voices of teachers across this province, then they're sorely mistaken.
The Alberta Federation of Labour calls it an assault on workers' rights. It is weighing province-wide job action.
This is not a war that we chose, but make no mistake, this government has declared war on working people, not just in this province, but across the country.
Fair and free collective bargaining for the public sector in Alberta is dead.
The notwithstanding clause has only been used twice before in labour relations in Canada. Its use now sends a signal, says this expert.
This government is determined to have its way, that they just simply don't care about the charter-protected rights of workers in this province, and that they are prepared to disrespect Alberta teachers in such a flagrant fashion.
The Alberta government says the use of the notwithstanding clause will expire in 2028. That's when the collective agreement it imposed will end.
So, Julia, when will teachers and students be back in the classroom?
So the earliest that could happen is Wednesday, and the Alberta government says that there will be penalties for teachers who do not comply. They say that could be up to $500 a day for an individual and up to $500,000 a day for an organization.
Julia Wong in Edmonton, thanks for this. The Toronto Blue Jays are on enemy turf tonight as the World Series shifts to Los Angeles. The Jays are looking to reclaim momentum from Saturday's loss, with the Dodgers tying up the series 1-1. So much of Canada is rooting for the Jays, but they're showing they don't need home field advantage to make big plays. Thomas Dagg joins me now from Dodger Stadium. Thomas, it's all tied up again.
Oh boy, we have a ball game on our hands, Erica. 4-4 in the fifth inning. This place went silent when Alejandro Kirk smashed a 3-run homer for the Blue Jays. But earlier, even before first pitch, there were loud boos for the Jays for one player in particular.
The Dodger fans really getting on the case.
Top of the first, and they let him know.
They are letting George hear it.
Dodger fans loudly jeering George Springer.
No Springer dingers tonight. Sorry, Springer, you're going down in L.A.
What's up, cheater? I hate you, cheater.
1-1.
Toronto's leadoff man has a history here.
Let's go, Dodgers!
And fans were sure to tell him they remember.
How do you feel about him?
He's a good player, but I think he just has a bad reputation because of what's happened in the past.
Dodger fans have a long memory, and that's what makes them great.
In 2017, Springer led the Astros to a World Series title over LA.
The Houston Astros are
Only later it emerged Houston had cheated all along by illegally stealing signs, using a video camera from center field, and banging on a trash can to tell the hitter what pitch to expect. Listen closely and you'll hear it.
I regret everything. And I regret that we were in this situation.
Fast forward 8 years, and with Springer back at Dodger Stadium for the World Series, he's public enemy number one.
Fans, they show their opinion and emotion, that's fine, you know, and George has an unbelievable ability to keep himself focused and present on what he's doing.
1, 2, 3 more games, and we've got this.
Second inning, former Blue Jays fan favorite Teoscar Hernandez opening scoring with this solo home run.
Down the right field line.
And who else but baseball's biggest star, Shohei Ohtani, doubling the Dodgers' early lead with this shot out of the park.
And a curveball.
And as if it was a battle of the homers, here comes Alejandro Kirk with 2 on.
Alejandro Kirk has done it again.
Putting Toronto ahead of the home team.
Now, hits from baseball's biggest star, Shohei Ohtani, and Canadian citizen Freddie Freeman, both for the Dodgers, have tied this game 4-4 now after 5 innings. Early on, Dodgers fans came in convinced that their team was going to be able to sweep the LA leg of this and end the World Series, win the Commissioner's Trophy here at Dodger Stadium on Wednesday. But right now, tied up. The series is tied up. The game is tied up. It's anyone's ball game. It's anyone's World Series. Erica.
All right, it's a nail biter. Thanks for this. That's Thomas Dagla reporting from Dodger Stadium. A Quebec judge has rejected a request for a new election in the Montreal area riding of Terrebonne. Back in April, the federal Liberals won by a single vote over the Bloc Québécois. The Bloc candidate filed a court challenge after a special ballot was returned to a Bloc voter due to a postal code mistake by Elections Canada. In a ruling today, a Quebec Superior Court judge called it a human error and said annulling the result would be unreasonable. In Quebec tonight, the death of an abandoned newborn infant has people talking about possible solutions for new parents in desperate situations. Alison Northcott looks at what can be done to prevent another tragedy.
A 911 call around 6:30 a.m. reported a baby found in this bus shelter. First responders say the infant was naked and cold. The baby later died in hospital.
When it comes to the newborn that has been abandoned at the bus stop on
Longueuil police arrested a 33-year-old woman who was taken to hospital.
And now all we worry about is really her state of mind when it comes to psychological or physical impacts on what just happened.
Police say she could face charges of infanticide. Investigators are considering many scenarios, including that the baby was born at the bus stop. It's the second time in recent weeks a baby has been left in this area. A baby boy was found on a doorstep. Police released this surveillance video and are still looking for the parents.
Inside, it's done up very much like a little nursery.
Quebec does not have a baby hatch or box like this one in Calgary, where an infant can be left safely and anonymously.
The cradle is temperature controlled, it's safe, and as soon as that outside door is closed again, it's locked and the alarm goes off and the baby is seen to within minutes.
While baby boxes have raised concerns about children's rights to know their identities, some say more communities need the option.
If someone's in tremendously difficult circumstances and we know that they are being used, the question is why not?
What terrible distress a mother must be in to make those kinds of decisions.
Sally Richmond runs a women's shelter and says more social supports are needed too.
More and more women with children of all ages are struggling to find the support that they need to maintain a stable life with their children.
The Quebec government says parents in distress do have options, like contacting Youth Protection, taking a newborn to the hospital, or calling 911. It says asking for help is possible and crucial. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
Canada's food bank set an alarming new record this March, nearly 2.2 million visits.
And this isn't a temporary spike in data. This is a signal of a much deeper problem that everyone in Canada should be extremely alarmed by.
Visits have nearly doubled since 2019. Back then, only 12% of clients said employment was their main source of income. Now, 19% are workers, and there are more two-parent families showing up to put food on the table. The strongest storm of the year is bearing down on Jamaica tonight. Hurricane Melissa is a slow-moving beast, a rare Category 5, and it's taking direct aim on the island nation. It may take until the morning to get a full sense of its impact, but already Jamaica's health minister says at least 3 people have died cutting down trees in preparation for landfall. Paul Hunter shows us the dire warnings of what's to come.
As the waves and the wind grow ever stronger along the south coast of Jamaica, so too the fears this one is a monster.
I know that there are Jamaicans here praying for us, Jamaicans overseas praying for us, but more than that, it would appear that the entire world is praying for Jamaica.
Jamaica now readies itself for what's predicted to be its worst, most ferocious storm on record, a Category 5, the highest ranking there is for hurricanes. Anyone in low-lying areas told to, in effect, run for their lives.
I will just say, Almighty Father, spare us. I know we have a culture of last minute, but there's no last minute in a hurricane. You need to leave, and you need to leave now.
You have been warned. So it's now up to you to use that information to make the right decisions.
Melissa is already extremely powerful. These images are from a U.S. government aircraft trying to measure its intensity. The plane had to abandon that plan and turn back because the storm is too violent. Consider the near unbelievable forecast in Jamaica for the coming hours. Sustained winds up to 280 kilometers an hour, up to a meter of rain, and 4 meters of storm surge.
We're expecting catastrophic wind impacts with total structural failure. Do not venture out of your safe shelter. Catastrophic, life-threatening flash flooding, numerous landslides are expected today through Tuesday.
And so it is that Jamaicans prepare and they wait as Melissa gets set to unleash its fury.
Jamaica's capital, Kingston, is expected to escape the worst of the storm, Erica. And to be clear, even for the rest of the island, its path and ferocity could change. But as Jamaican officials continue to warn, it is imperative to prepare for the worst. And so they are.
And Paul, it's not just Jamaica.
No, it's not. Cuba is preparing to be hit after Jamaica, then Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas. Haiti and the Dominican Republic are already feeling Melissa's force. At least 4 people dead on that island. A deadly storm with record intensity already.
Thanks for this, Paul. Paul Hunter in Washington. The U.S. is scaling up its use of photo recognition software at all of its border crossings.
Doing this at the land ports of entry, the logistics are going to be very difficult.
When being photographed will become mandatory and the progression of the Blue Jays rally song.
Can't promise too much, so just say they're okay.
How it's evolved through multiple generations.
Call Vladdy, this is a baddie.
We're back in 2. Amazon is reportedly set to cut as many as 30,000 jobs beginning this week, the largest layoffs in the company's history. That's only a fraction of its 1.55 million employees, but about 10% of its corporate workforce. According to reports, Amazon is looking to compensate for overhiring during the pandemic. The U.S. is planning to photograph all Canadian travelers as they enter and exit the country, including at land crossings. Sophia Harris explains how it could work and the alarm it's raising.
Warren Chappelle had an unsettling experience this month at Cleveland's International Airport. He says just before boarding his flight home to Toronto, a border officer took his photo, offering no explanation.
Well, I was surprised. I was aghast. I felt ambushed because it happened so quickly.
The United States is ramping up its facial biometrics program, photographing international travelers and using facial comparison technology to confirm their identities. Close to a decade ago, the U.S. rolled out the technology at airports for international arrivals. Canada did the same. Now, the U.S. plans to photograph travelers entering and leaving the country by all modes of transport. Full implementation could take several years, but technology that photographs travelers inside vehicles is expected to be in place at land borders in 2026. No word yet on if it will cause delays.
Doing this at the land ports of entry, the logistics are going to be very difficult.
Meanwhile, the U.S. has already started snapping photos at dozens of airports at international departures, something Chappelle discovered unwittingly.
I was not alerted that this might happen, and I was not given a choice to have the picture taken.
In Canada, all travelers can choose not to be photographed. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says Canadians also have that right in the U.S., but not for long. On December 26, a new rule is set to take effect, making it mandatory for non-U.S. citizens to take part.
What they're trying to do is more, control who's entering this country, national security reasons, and I do think it's going to be the wave of the future.
But it could also serve as a deterrent for Canadians traveling to the U.S., which is already in steep decline. After his experience, Chappelle says he's reconsidering further travel to the country. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
Letitia James has become the latest opponent of Donald Trump facing prosecution.
The administration has run through what are traditionally a lot of the guardrails and safety checks.
Why some are concerned the justice system is being weaponized. And a former French president now behind bars.
This is a real sense that justice can reach out and touch even a former president.
The fall and potential fate of Nicolas Sarkozy. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Back to the Blue Jays now. Their World Series adventure is lending fresh sizzle to a 40-year-old song. Magda Gebrselassie brings us the colorful history of OK Blue Jays and gives us a taste of the new covers.
It's that catchy baseball tune that revs up fans in bars,
OK! OK! Blue Jays!
in schools,
Let's play ball!
and in the seats at Blue Jays games during the 7th inning stretch. You may know the words, but did you know the tune got its start in 1982?
You got a hat?
Jack Lenz and business partner Tony Kozenik co-wrote commercials, but then they got called up to take a swing at a theme song for the Blue Jays. Thing is,
Neither Tony nor I had ever been to a baseball game. Sports was not our thing. So we were definitely music nerds.
But they were up for the challenge. Before coming up with a game plan, then Blue Jays executive Paul Beeston gave them a tip.
I remember so clearly him saying, we're only 5 years old. We can't promise too much, so just say they're okay.
The pair tapped into the sights and sounds of baseball.
You got a diamond, you got 9 men.
And within one afternoon, they had their tune. Called to bat as lead singer was Keith Hampshire.
Yeah, it was very catchy, very clever, very clever. Well, when I first heard the track, I thought, this sort of sounds like a Randy Newman song, and I love Randy Newman.
Sold as a record, in 1985, the track went gold, reaching 50,000 sold. The shorter version, chanted at games, continues to delight. It's even getting updates from fans like the Arkells' Max Kermit.
We call him Vladdy. Yes, he's a baddie.
He's not the only one giving the song a new twist.
We'll beat the Dodgers so bad it'll make LA blue.
No doubt Jays fans are hoping that comes true. Magda Gebrselassie, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. A former French president jailed for criminal conspiracy.
This is a really murky story of campaign financing.
He's appealing but remains in solitary confinement. We'll explain why. But first,
this is not about me.
The U.S. State Attorney General targeted for prosecution by Donald Trump.
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt.
Breaking down their conflict and the case against Letitia James. Ashley Fraser on why this isn't an isolated case and why some fear for the independence of the U.S. Department of Justice.
So this New York Attorney General Letitia James was indicted in early October by a federal grand jury. It's a move that many Trump critics believe is a blatant target of his adversaries.
With a fake, corrupt attorney general, a really corrupt person.
The charges, one count of bank fraud and one count of making a false statement to a financial institution. All over a mortgage loan for a $137,000 house in Virginia.
And the allegation is that she made false representations about her primary residence to secure a lower interest rate on her loan.
But the legal experts we spoke to say this is a pretty unusual case for an indictment.
It is highly unusual in my 35 years of practice, both on the defense side and for the government, to see there be a prosecution, an indictment brought for a single, relatively small mortgage loan.
So how did we get here? Well, Letitia James promised to investigate Trump while campaigning for the job of Attorney General in New York back in 2018. And when she got the job, she did just that.
We are filing a lawsuit against Donald Trump.
James successfully sued Trump and his company for fraud in 2023 over grossly inflating his net worth to get more favorable terms for loans and insurance. Her name then appeared in a Truth Social post this September where Trump also called on former FBI Director James Comey and Democratic Senator Adam Schiff to be investigated, stating justice must be served.
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt.
Then the president appointed a new attorney.
President Trump fired the prior U.S. attorney who was responsible for determining whether to bring the case and replaced the prosecutor with a young, inexperienced new U.S. attorney who had never been a prosecutor before in her life.
Since then, Comey was indicted in September. Now, Comey and Trump also have a long and complicated history. Comey investigated connections between the Trump campaign and Russia, something that Trump criticized and later fired Comey for. And Comey was recently indicted for making false statements to lawmakers and obstructing congressional proceedings, and he's pleaded not guilty.
And I'm innocent, so let's have a trial.
Then earlier this month, James was indicted despite the previous lawyer who oversees federal prosecutions in Virginia stating there wasn't enough evidence that James had committed mortgage fraud.
It is a sign where the administration has run through what are traditionally a lot of the guardrails and safety checks in the process that would prevent a case that is really out of the ordinary from being brought for political purposes.
James has denied any wrongdoing and has called this case a
weaponization of our justice system. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively.
Kloop says it's likely that James's lawyers will use a selective prosecution claim to fight this.
The selective prosecution defense will certainly start with the narrative of the New York Attorney General conducted an extensive investigation, brought a civil case against President Trump, succeeded at trial. The president made numerous statements about his desire that it was a completely unjustified prosecution.
Letitia James, this woman is grossly incompetent.
His desire to have revenge, vengeance, retribution.
Her ranting and raving like a lunatic. But just as the Attorney General of New York State, Letitia James.
Now, if the case proceeds, it would then go to a jury.
They're going to have to persuade a jury of 12 Americans beyond a reasonable doubt that they've convicted these crimes, and they have to do it unanimously. That's a really, really high bar in much more clear-cut criminal situations.
Meanwhile, the U.S. administration has insisted that any actions against these individuals, like James or Comey, are driven by law over politics. But Trump did center his 2024 campaign around retributions against those who had prosecuted him.
The president has long said, back to the time before he was reelected and was a candidate for reelection, he's often had a sort of eye for an eye vision of politics and of justice, trying to hit back at what he perceives as his enemies.
What kind of precedent do you think this sets?
It sets a very dangerous precedent. And I think we've heard a lot of people outspoken, both on the political left and on the political right, really highlighting that point.
Jason Stanley is the chair of American Studies at the Munk School of Global Affairs in Toronto. He moved to Toronto over concerns about rising authoritarianism in the United States.
He sees the indictment of James and others as a sign of autocracy.
So we can look to other autocratic nations like Turkey. We can see that the mayor of Istanbul, who threatened Erdogan, is sitting in prison now. I think we can expect opposition politicians, as in any autocratic country, to be targeted for prosecution.
But the lawyers I spoke to say there's some safeguards in place.
So it's fair to say maybe this is a move in a particular trajectory. But I will say the United States has a lot further to fall before we actually get to that point where we're an autocracy. I think it really underscores the need for some fundamental reforms and fundamental efforts to try and kind of reinstall some degree of independence in the Justice Department to the extent we can.
I think the courts and ultimately, American citizens as jurors are the ultimate safeguard.
The criminal trials of Letitia James and James Comey that Ashley Fraser outlined are scheduled for January. They have both pleaded not guilty. Campaign funds and ties to a late Libyan dictator land a former French president in a Paris prison.
This is a serious moment.
The case of Nicolas Sarkozy behind bars now, but for how long? Next. Nicolas Sarkozy, the first French ex-president to be sent to prison, convicted in a campaign funding conspiracy.
This is a real sense that justice can reach out and touch even a former president.
He's begun serving a 5-year sentence, but that's not the end of the story. Andrew Chang, host of About That, breaks it all down. The crime, the conviction, the sentence, and why he's hoping to be free again soon.
It must be so weird for Nicolas Sarkozy, the guy who was once the most powerful man in France, to suddenly find himself living here. Or at least a room like this. He'll have a bed, a desk, a window with bars, a small fridge he can rent. This is solitary confinement, 23 hours a day. Figure about 100 square feet in all. If the former French president is willing to spend a few euros a month, he could also rent a small TV. He could stock his fridge from the canteen and cook on a tiny stove, do his dishes, shower, use the bathroom, even make phone calls to certain prearranged numbers. Which all seems to roughly match this 3D mock-up published by Le Parisien, which is a major French daily newspaper. All of which to say, this is what prison looks like when you're a former world leader in an isolation wing for his own protection against other inmates. But let's rewind. Sarkozy's last breaths of free air before submitting to solitary. The entire area near the prison cordoned off by police, Sarkozy walking hand in hand with his wife, going to prison for an as yet unclear amount of time and still presumed innocent. How does a former French president wind up behind bars under these circumstances? I'll explain.
This scanned document suggests the former Libyan leader, Muammar Gaddafi, bankrolled the Sarkozy campaign to the tune of $66 million.
Sarkozy angrily denied accusations on live TV that he received money from deposed Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi.
The central charge against Nicolas Sarkozy, the one that's landed him in prison, is the allegation that he conspired to accept millions of dollars from a Libyan dictator in a scheme to finance his presidential election campaign in 2007, a favor he would return by rehabilitating the image of Muammar Gaddafi and Libya on the world stage.
And so this is a really murky story of campaign financing, of dirty deeds and involvement with a pariah state. And it seems to really have been about trading influence for ideas of campaign funds off the books.
Nicolas Sarkozy est élu nouveau président de la République.
Sarkozy did go on to win the presidential election in 2007, beginning his first and only 5-year term, as well as a fairly rocky relationship with a new friend. It began on a high. In 2007, Sarkozy would do exactly what prosecutors suggested his campaign promised he would do, which is to welcome Gaddafi into the Western fold. Or, as prosecutors would later put it, to create the circumstances for an act of corruption at the highest level.
Certainly Gaddafi is not going to be leaving here empty-handed. French military jets, even a contract to build a French nuclear reactor for electrical purposes in Libya.
Sarkozy and Gaddafi would sign deals worth billions of euros. France really leading the charge to help Libya reintegrate into the broader economic order.
So drew them in from the wilderness. And of course, it put him on the world stage. It meant that he was, pictured on the steps of the Elysee Palace, visited Versailles, he was treated to a state dinner, all of these things that become part of the pomp and ceremony of international diplomacy. That's a sort of laundering of the reputation.
But this partnership would not last. At the risk of oversimplifying here, because it was never going to be easy for Libya and the West to suddenly lock arms. If the high point of relations between France and Libya was 2007, the low point was just a few years later, in late 2010, early 2011, when Arab Spring pro-democracy protests swept the region.
Muammar Gaddafi, the leader who ruled Libya for 4 decades by crushing the opposition, could himself be crushed by a popular uprising.
In the eastern city of Benghazi, calls for Muammar Gaddafi to be brought to justice.
Perhaps seeing trouble ahead, Sarkozy would turn on Gaddafi, eventually becoming one of the first Western leaders to push effectively for Gaddafi's ouster in March 2011.
NATO airstrikes have struck the Libyan president's compound, reportedly killing 3 civilians and wounding dozens more.
President Nicolas Sarkozy spearheaded the West's military intervention during the conflict to oust Colonel Muammar Gaddafi.
This would cause Gaddafi and his Western relationships to tear at the seams.
Increasingly paranoid, increasingly convinced that in the wake of the Arab Spring, people were plotting against him, that he had not been given the deals or the treatment that he thought he deserved. And that's maybe one of the reasons we can look to this sort of settling of scores and unleashing all these old secrets from the past.
It was between this period of Western pressure on Libya and Gaddafi's ultimate capture and death at the hands of NATO-backed rebels in Libya, Gaddafi would turn on Sarkozy. It's thanks to us that he reached the presidency, Gaddafi would say in an interview. We provided him with the funds that allowed him to win. That was a big moment. So far as I can tell, the first major moment this idea would spread, that a foreign dictatorship had secretly bankrolled a French election. And going way back to 2005, 2006, when Sarkozy was merely a presidential hopeful.
Je crois que le rendez-vous de 2007, c'est pas simplement un rendez-vous de changement de génération, ça doit être un rendez-vous assez profond de changement de façon de faire de la politique.
According to the charges against him, which Sarkozy has denied since the start, it was during this period where Sarkozy's campaign really first became invested in a relationship with Muammar Gaddafi.
So there are a number of people that are tied up in this really quite complicated system of corruption. Some close confidants of Nicolas Sarkozy, some of whom have been imprisoned alongside him as part of the same trial.
I won't get overly bogged down here with names and dates, but over the last decade, there have been all kinds of sordid details dug up by journalists and investigators, some of which have been contested, mind you. But just to give you a sense of things, there have been reports of early meetings between members of Sarkozy's staff and Gaddafi's brother-in-law and head of military intelligence. At one dinner, a deal to lift an arrest warrant and push for closer diplomatic and economic ties between the two countries. At another meeting, handing over banking information to receive Libyan funds. Much later, reports of a diary belonging to Libya's late oil minister, with entries dating back to 2007 alleging millions of euros sent to the Sarkozy camp from Libyan dignitaries. A Lebanese-French businessman would then go on record claiming to have personally delivered suitcases with millions of euros of cash.
Une valise comme ça, ça s'ouvre comme ça s'ouvre et l'argent est dedans.
That businessman, by the way, became the key accuser in the case against Sarkozy, but he died just days before the judge would reach a verdict. Sarkozy has fairly consistently said he's an innocent man. He believes the allegations against him are in fact a revenge plot, retaliation for turning on Gaddafi and calling for his downfall. But last month, a court in Paris disagreed.
Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been sentenced to 5 years in prison.
A Paris court found him guilty of accepting campaign funds from the late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi.
Which brings us back to two important questions that we raised at the start of all this. Why don't we know how long he'll be behind bars, and why is he, despite the guilty verdict, currently presumed innocent? Well, he was handed a 5-year sentence, but his lawyers have already filed for his early release, which French legal experts have suggested could happen within a month. Sarkozy has also appealed the guilty verdict, which, according to French law, snaps everything back to a presumption of innocence. It ordinarily effectively suspends the guilty verdict. So then, you might ask, why is he in prison at all? Well, the judge in this case said the facts were exceptionally serious and capable of undermining citizens' trust in public institutions, with Sarkozy having used his position to prepare an act of corruption at the highest level.
And so this is the first time that he, even though he said he's going to appeal, the judge also applied what is called in French an exécution provisoire, which means that the sentence will be carried even though an appeal is underway.
This is a serious moment, I think, but it's also something that I think should be a source of pride for French people, because it shows the wheels of justice working. It's not a sign that there are privileges or that anyone is above the law. This is a real sense that justice can reach out and touch even a former president.
And so that's how a former French president ends up presumed innocent, but in prison for an unknown period of time in a nearly unprecedented set of circumstances. A very influential man now locked in a very small room.
And Sarkozy's legal team applied for his conditional release immediately after he entered prison. The court has up to 2 months to make a ruling. Coming up, survivors help demolish one of the last operating residential schools in BC.
So many things were taken away from us with the residential schools.
Why community members say this was a step toward recovery in our moment. This was the scene at the Christie Residential School in BC as community members came together to witness the demolition of the building. Before heavy machinery took over, survivors threw rocks and took crowbars to the school, some calling it a step towards recovery. Tonight, the emotional teardown is our moment.
Several people come into the gym to begin the demolition with hand tools to be able to reclaim power back that had been taken from them as children, the weight lifted off of them.
To witness the demolition of buildings where atrocities happened, it was good to see. It was 63 years ago when I went to residential school, and I use it as a bit of rebellion. You can't beat me though. I'm still here. I'm still here.
It's a huge privilege to be able to do this work for our communities. So many things were taken away from us with the residential schools. This healing needs to happen.
Now, children who were sent to these schools never got to celebrate their birthday, so at the end of this day, everyone got a cupcake with a candle in it to honor all the missed birthdays. That school finally closed in 1983. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. I'm Erica Johnson in Vancouver. Take care.